Hello,
Hi.
can you hear me okay?
Yes, but I cannot see you.
Really?
Yes,
Huh.
just a black screen. Now I'm seeing you.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to talk about the silent voice?
This is what we had to do before the.
Cancel this. Start again. Uh,
I'm waiting till you will start speaking, and you're waiting till you will start.
yeah, this is about silent voice.
Yes.
You are talking about me starting this, and I'm thinking about you starting it.
Yes.
Silent voice. Okay, let's talk about silent voice. Why this is silent voice? Why did we name the silent voice, and what it significant of this name?
I think for me, I really like a public transport, and I really like to walk on the street and then watch the people.
Mhm.
So for me, silent voice is always, hear those stories. If you ask my daughters, they always now at the superpowers, what superpowers they have. So if I can choose, my superpower would be to know others people's stories. So for me, the silent voice is to hear their stories because I think that from every person's story, we can learn something different because each of it is unique. You will never find anyone who will live the same story. We have, let's say, some paragraphs that are similar with other stories. This is why, from listening of other people choices, decisions, you can learn something. But also, it's very important to understand that everybody has their unique view, unique choices, unique experiences. So this is what a silent voice for me.
Yeah, that is very true. We all have unique stories, unique experiences, and unique learning from those experiences. And I think our path crosses, and we share our stories, and we sometimes we just get surprised. Huh, I had a similar stories, but experience was um, somewhat similar, even though I grew up maybe in a different country, different culture, different religion, different circumstances, and so different society, but our experiences and the stories somewhere it matches. It's nothing different, but the main point is, does these stories um, come out um, and to the public that where we can share and we can learn from? But there is not enough platform, enough um, um, social media where we are sharing. It's not that everybody is not sharing their stories or not talking about it. They're doing it, but it's lost somewhere because there is so many platforms, so many places people are telling their stories, but not being heard, not been seen. And I think with this platform, we are not just going to write it, but we are going to talk about it. We are going to share it, our success, our challenge, our struggle. Um, that would be the unique perspective of how we can present the stories in this platform.
And I will share about my grandfather's story, what is like very similar but also very unique. Because in Lithuania, there was a project where, like, people, journalists, they were going through the villages and asking people to tell their stories. Because there was two wars, one after other, and they wanted to collect those stories. Because what is happening usually, because we are too busy, we don't have enough time to talk with our parents, with our grandparents, we don't even know their stories. And those who has curiosity, they really listening to them, and those stories are very important. So I think that, of course, about, let's say, every public person, there is a Wikipedia page where you can see his like life story, the main things about him, the biggest work. But every single person, I think, has to have somewhere to tell his story, because the most of the stories are lost of just simple life with the experience that we are living right now. Because I think after 100 years, it will be very interesting for others to listen what happened then, what was the challenges, how they are similar or how they are different after a lot of years. So for me, it's very important also to collect those stories, because I think that simple life, usually there is no platform, there is no options to show also and live for other generations. Because all the movies, all the information and books usually are about some public um characters, public people, and we are missing that part. Even if you look back, what was before 100 years, there is no history books who will represent. There is just short descriptions, but you won't hear those people's stories from their perspective. So this is also very important for me to leave those stories, those simple life stories, because I think that you can say that it's simple, but it's the most important. Because from those, let's say, people who are living, 99% of people on earth, they are creating the most influence in the future right now, despite the fact that they are not public, they are not some very high level governments or something like that.
Yeah, that is very true. I think, like the Wikipedia you mentioned about, and the stories that your grandfather's time, the war stories, they are probably lost, and nobody has captured those. I mean, it's passed on to generation to generation. You might have some of the stories you heard from your grandfather that you know of, but do you have all the stories from that generations? Probably not. Um, Maybe someone was a writer, maybe a blog writer, or maybe just an author wrote on their personal diaries. Those stories are being there. It's not being in public. And Wikipedia is a great place, but it's all about celebrities, public figures, and history from the events, all the major events from the newspaper, from I mean, there are archives of a lot of things, but where are the archives of the people, normal people, people like us? Where is my stories going to be written? Nowhere. Who cares who I am? Nobody cares. I'll be dead one day, but only stories that someone is going to remember it is my probably my friends, my family, my children, and it will be carried over by my children, let's say, and it will pass on to maybe another generation, their children. After that, it will be lost. They will say, "Oh, he was the grandfather. What was the story of that person?"
Yes, and you know that the stories, if you look at the statistic, stories and even knowing about the person are lost in generation. That would, just like you said. So it means your grandchildren, if you will have grandchildren,
Yeah.
because this is also a choice to have children and grandchildren, and it's not on you because your children make a choice if they will have a child, but they are lost or in the second generation. So your grandchildren will be the last one who will talk about you and who will know at least a little bit about your story,
Yeah.
but they will never see your story through your perspective. This is where is the main thing, that, for example, I will tell my mother's story based on my experience with my mom, but
Yes.
I don't know her experience as a child, during her childhood, and just she can tell about all the emotions, about all the experiences, about her biggest memories that she's lived during that period. And even if I ask her sister, they are very close with each other, her sister will tell absolutely different story about even the same events.
Yes.
And what is happening, despite the fact that yes, in two generation people will know your name and surname, but your story, no, just you, just from your perspective and just from who you are.
Yeah. I think with this, we can bring those stories that we can have our guests and also us. We can tell our stories from our own experience so that these recordings, these stories will be alive for many, 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 many generations to come, and it will be there. I think we are starting something. I don't know what we are starting, but now I started to see that maybe in 100, 200 years, these videos will be there, and maybe my grandson is or granddaughter may stumble upon looking at this video where we started, and they can hear the stories from my own experience.
Yes, but this is the big vision and the small vision, why it's so important right now to listen stories for people who are living now, and why is the second part about the community. Because everybody is saying learn from other mistakes, others mistakes, not from yourself. Don't make mistakes by yourself. So I think by telling your own stories, when I started working on Instagram, and when I started to share the information that I know, my one wish was like, if there is at least one person who will watch my story, my video, it makes meaning, because maybe that my one story or one video will change his life and will make change in his decision. I really believe in butterfly effect, because I know that every word what you are telling always makes some influence to other people. So every person who will be our guest, they will tell their stories, and they have to understand that their story can help others. And I think this is the most important also, to understand that when you share some part of your life, it's not possible to share everything, by joining the live and creating the video. But that part that you will choose to share with others publicly can change someone's life, can change someone's understanding, someone's perspective about his situation, and maybe will make a different choice, or maybe he or she will make similar choices based on everyone's stories. So I think this is also a very big message to everyone, why it's so important to talk. Because every time when I see people everywhere, no matter where, on the street, on the bus, sometimes you see that people are going through some challenges in their life. And you don't know what story will make them to enjoy the life again, to find that motivation to start something what they are dreaming to start, or I don't know, do whatever they want to do their at that moment. So I think it's very important also to understand that these lives will help others to make changes in their life.
Yeah, like the butterfly effect, or um, how we influence each other. I mean, sometimes you might see some inspirational quote, or maybe just it's one sentence on the street, on the ad flyers. All of a sudden, it gives you some thoughts like, okay, maybe I was looking for this sign. Maybe something you can relate and resonate. So it's, oh, I'm not alone. I have a um, similar stories from others where I can see that, okay, what I'm going through right now, I'm in at one corner of the world, you are in another corner of the world, but our stories might collide somewhere that we can learn from each other. We can inspire each other from our own stories. Someone might be going through the similar challenges that I'm going through, but let's say I overcome my challenges. Now I have story to tell, how I overcome, how that challenge impacted me. And that is how we can share these stories across the globe, all over the world. And we can learn from each other. Maybe um, there is a common uh, factor between it's as far as human goes. I think we are all souls, and we are just experiencing our human life in different ways. Who knows? My experience, your experience, someone from all the way from east uh, has the same experience. Maybe we are all having the same experience, but it's different location, different circumstances, different situation. But stories might be same. Who knows?
And I will share a short example from today's my experience. So I'm also doing a tarot card readings and horoscope analysis, and this morning I had an ask to do a tarot card and horoscope recording for my client. And I always ask all the information also about the question. And she is going through divorces. She is she wants to move out from the house because she cannot live in the house with her ex-husband, and she is asking what to do, what the choice to make. And for me, it's very similar to my past, to my experiences. So I suggest her to talk with a lawyer. I suggest her not to forget herself and her rights, because I was going through very similar situation. It's not the same situation, but it's similar situation. And that was what she needed for that moment, for that time. So it's very important to open the doors for person to tell what is the challenges right now. And I think at the same situation, if that woman would see somewhere a channel where one or other woman or man will experience, for example, how they go through the divorces, this will make to motivate her to understand her situation better, to make better decisions. Because I know that when you are going through a hard time on your life, what you want to do is to isolate yourself. You don't want to speak about that with your close people, and not because you are sometimes ashamed, but also because you don't want to hurt them, because you know that for them to go through everything will be also painful. So, and this is where the social media, the internet is coming, because those people usually are on the some channels, YouTube channel, listening for podcasts, looking for quotes on the Instagram, and so on and so on. And this is how we can help also, just by sharing the stories. And maybe someone will find your story like who will be our guest. And this will give him a wider understanding about what he is going through and what would be the right choices for that person at that moment. So I think I just want to show how sometimes it can be simple without a big explanation, big without something very huge. Like even if you, I don't know, don't go through some horrible experience or you are not super successful at your work, but maybe you survive or you go through something in your life that can be similar that someone is living right now, and your story can help just him by hearing it.
Yeah, yeah. This reminds me of like when maybe when you started doing parenting, you started asking other parents what they are doing, how they are doing it. You learn from each other, and yes, there are so many challenges, not just parenting, but relationship and challenges through life, and we can share our stories. Um, our guests can share their stories so that we can learn from each other. This is not a place for us to provide um, uh, the uh, the specialist or what is right, what is wrong, but it's about sharing our truth, sharing our stories, and to express ourselves, express our inner voice, that silent voice that we have not been able to express to others, not even to our closest friends. But we do somewhere feel like I wanted to tell this to the world. We all feel like that at some point, that I just wanted to scream and tell it to everybody. And I hope we are going to provide that space, that platform to come and speak whatever you have to share. And it's your story, and it's important that others should know.
Yes, and it's a very good point because we talked about it before that this is the space where is no judging, because we will listen everybody and they how they are feeling at that situation, what was their choices and from their perspective, because as I mentioned, every person can talk about the same event differently based on his experiences. So I think that we will hear one side, another side, or maybe third side of the same story. It can be in this way because I really understand by working with my clients that different clients at the same situation feel and have different connection with the same people. So it's very important to understand and not to judge any person for his choices, because at that situation in that moment that person made the best choice, the best decision that he could. So we want everybody to share openly and to be as vulnerable as they can at the silent voice, because I think that this is the most important, because we can always tell a beautiful side of the situation, and we can also tell the truth about our life, about our decisions, how we felt, what we did, where it will bring us, and so on and so on. So I want this space, despite the fact that it will be public, to be very vulnerable, very open, because it's not a space to show yourself as someone who is very successful, like to show your pride, but to show your truth, to show your truth self with everything, with all the mistakes that you did in your life, with all the successes that you did that in your life, because this is what makes us unique.
Yeah. So, thank you. Raminta, and we will look forward to seeing more guests. We'll be having more uh, schedules to talk, discuss, and have a conversation. Um, so please do sign up for the event calendar and schedule some time to discuss with us before going live. And we'll be providing more information how to engage with us and how to be part of this community and how to connect with each other and grow as a community.
Thank you. And I hope that everybody will be open and can share their story because every story matters. So, see you and waiting you all for signing up for meeting with us.
Thank you. Bye.